for those kind words. And further, let's start with our presentation. Basically, I have divided this presentation into three parts. Firstly, I will be talking about the major disruptive trends in the industry. What I mean by disruptive is that they are trends in technology that have made a big impact on the business environment in technology companies. And secondly, these technologies are the least impacted by what we are facing right now. Even in these turbulent times, we have seen major growth rates in these technologies. Okay. So, yeah. And so let's start with that. So what are the qualitative skills that the industry is looking for in people as we talk now? So what are those industry trends? And those qualitative factors. What are people looking for in their employees, in consultants? Okay. So let's move over to the next slide. So these are some of the things that people should have. Okay, since we are in a talent-driven economy, talent is a big thing. Anybody possessing special skills and talents are in the industry for the long run. Okay. So what are those qualitative things? Skills that will add value. Independent judgment and decision making. Certifications and advanced degrees. Complex problem solving capabilities. Critical thinking. The qualitative factors that people should possess when they jump into the industries. So let's start off with the first technology, something called hyper automation. Hyper automation is a new thing. It has to deal with robotic process automation plus artificial intelligence. So what is robotic process automation? Robotic process automation is basically some bots, BOTS, bots that are handling repetitive tasks. So you have an algorithm that is handling repetitive tasks that were usually handled by people. For example, in a bank or an insurance company, claims management, paper processing, filing, document management. These were handled by tier 3 manual labor. People were handling these processes. But now, since about 6-7 years, bots are handling it. There are specialized algorithms that are handling human tasks. But it has its limitations. So hence the opportunity for hyperautomation. What is the limitation? It's basically that some tasks, let's say some paperwork comes in written by hand. okay, like supporting documents for insurance policies, okay, or supporting documents for banks. So these bots cannot read that, okay. So hence the rise of hyperautomation, which is robotic, these bots plus artificial intelligence. So what they are doing is basically they will understand those characters and frame a sentence, okay, and ease the use for the end user. So, like I said, robotic process automation has been around since 2000 and deals with structured data, data that people can normally read or machines can understand, something that is typewritten, okay, or multiple choice kind of things, okay, structured data. But if the documents are coming in, this is one example. There are many examples, okay. Yeah. So artificial intelligence can read those documents, okay, and frame sentences and pass on to the decision maker. Okay. So the need for hyper automation has increased. I will also talk during this presentation of regarding to what is the scope of the growth of each of these technologies from 2020 to 2025. Okay, I will also talk about the skills required for these enabling these technologies and the major hirers. Who are the companies that are hiring these kinds of technology people? So because of hyper automation, we are seeing a big change in the landscape. Okay, most office productivity will be completely commoditized within 5 years. So we can see a growth rate of 20% from 2019 to 2025. Okay. So what is this CAGR? It is basically the compounded annual growth rate, okay, over the investment period. Let's say the investment period for a company is 2025. So how long will that take to recover that total investment? 20% is a big number. Most industries are in the range of 5 to 10%. Most industries, I'm not talking about companies, I'm talking about industries, 5 to 10% it takes. That's 10 to 15 years to fully mature that new technology. Okay. But in the case of hyper automation, we are seeing within 20, well, within 25, 2025, we will see companies that have fully matured capabilities in hyper automation. That's how fast it is going to grow. Okay. So because of this, you will see many job losses in tier 3 kind of operations. So key skills required for this in these kind of operations, coding skills in Microsoft Java technologies, 2 years experience in RPA tools, some knowledge of scripting languages, XML, ML framework. What I mean by ML is machine learning. Okay. Machine learning and artificial intelligence. Okay. So yeah, who are top hirers here? IBM, CTS, Capgemini, Accenture, Infosys, DXC, NTT, Exologics, and UiPath. So this is a very big thing that is happening right now. You will see the case of Microsoft that they have replaced their Microsoft network, the MSN.com. Okay, they have replaced their top line, or not the top line, the middle line of the editorial content makers. These are the people who produce the news reports, who write the news for the journalists, and they put the content in the websites. Now that staff, out of 50, 20 or 25 of them have been replaced by hyper automation. Okay? And this is happening widespread globally. You will see people, okay, being replaced by hyper automation tools. Okay. The next technology is augmented reality and virtual reality, which is a big disruptor. This technology has added the highest number of jobs in IT since last year, or not only I would say in IT, but all across mechanical, information technology, electrical engineering, electronics. Okay, this industry has enabled all faculties of engineering. Okay? So virtual reality, I'm sure people are understanding this technology, is you have seen those headsets people are wearing to play games, but it's not just limited to games now. People are using these headsets in the construction industry. Okay, people are using these kinds of headsets in classrooms. People are using these headsets in training sessions. Okay, people are using these headsets staying at home and visiting malls and trying on things. Okay, the augmented reality and virtual reality, it is a huge disruptor. Consumer adoption of these headsets has going to go up by 165% by 2022. All right, 1,400% increase in job opportunities in this space, surpassing blockchain. This is last year, surpassing blockchain technology. It was 517% from last year. But the blockchain technology, because it does not have a huge, or it hasn't gained much mass in the industry, it grew only by 9% this year. But this industry is supposed to grow at 70% compounded annual growth rate till 2025. This is a very big number, very big number. Like I said, the big companies will take 5 to 10%, and the smaller startups will take even less than that. When you see something like 70%, you will see major disruptions. You will see people getting employed. You will see a lot of startups. You will see major advances in this technology. Okay. So what are the skills required here? One is something called Go. Go programming. Go programming is developed by Google. It is called Go language. It is actually called Go language, but the synonym is Go. Java, C++, C Sharp, 3D modeling and scanning. Okay, software design, computer vision. Okay, these are hot technologies right now. These were not so prevalent wide across the industry till about 3 years ago. Okay, and you need about 5 years programming experience in this. Something we move on. Major hirings in UDIS is the Indian companies, UDIS, Intellivita, UTech, Jugo, and then you have the globals, Honeywell, IBM, etc. One of my objectives in this presentation was to highlight those technologies to the faculty, and so that they can sort of pass on this information to their students and make them market ready. Okay? Because just coming out with the same degrees as everybody else does not give them much market edge. So these are the major technologies that are the market shapers for the next 5 years. Okay? Now we have something called edge computing. What is edge computing? Edge computing is close to the local LAN, WLAN, or the local network. There are devices that don't send data, or they do send, but 90% of the time, these devices have inbuilt softwares to process the data instead of the conventional sending out the data to the data center or the cloud, and then process and bring it back. So what we are seeing here is the data is being handled locally in the device. Okay. For example, you have self-driving cars. Self-driving cars. Okay. So what is the need for edge computing is self-driving cars. How the concept works is instead of sending data out to the cloud, which involves latency and a lot of bandwidth costs. Latency is the time taken from the device to the cloud and processing that information and bringing it back. Okay. Yeah. So what that happens is in mission critical applications, that's even couple of seconds of delay, okay, causes major problems. For example, you have a self-driving car, right? So in a self-driving car, and if there's a pedestrian walking, okay, and the car does not recognize that pedestrian, you have major fatalities, major accidents. So it is very necessary that you have no latency involved in these kinds of operations. Okay. So what it does is the device sends a signal out to not to the cloud, but to a local data center located within the vicinity of that device. For example, you have self-driving cars in Bangalore, for example. Okay, self-driving cars, or you have headsets that people want to try in new clothes or new whatever. Okay, uh, or you have headsets that are involved in healthcare. Okay, uh, so a little bit delay can cause major accidents, major problems for consumer sentiments, right? Yeah. So what it does is that having the data on a local center. So you would have, instead of the data going from the device to the cloud, you would have the data going from the device being processed and getting additional information from a local data center. And that does not cost much. And so we are seeing a big rise in this area. So the industry is set to grow by 30% compounded annual growth rate. All right, that also is a very big number. Okay. So a lot of job spaces here, a lot of job spaces. Edge computing, you see, the adoption rate for edge computing right now is only 10%. 10%. Okay. 10% of the companies have adopted this technology. By 2025, you will see 75% of the company in industries, okay, have adopted this kind of technology. So that's a big number, from 10% to 75%. The growth rate in jobs is supposed to grow by 45% compound annual growth rate. Okay. What are the skills required here? C, C++, data exchange platforms, which is something called JSON. JSON is an advanced version of XML protocols. Okay, it's an advanced version of XML protocols. IP network protocols, okay, authentication, and other security protocols. Okay, and a good knowledge of machine learning and artificial intelligence. Okay, platforms, Keras, TensorFlow, H2O, and some good knowledge in mobile computing. Major hires here are in India are Cisco, Clearblade, Dell, EdgeConnect, Microsoft, Hitachi, HPE, Flipkart, Amazon, Akamai, and a lot of freelancing opportunities. So freelancing is, I don't know how big that is in India, but outside, freelancing is a very big thing. People in this space are getting paid $150 to $200 per hour. Okay. Of course, which added with some experience is required, but this is a huge space, and a major disruptor also. So let's talk about the benefits of edge computing, reduced IT costs. Okay, so you don't have to pay much for bandwidth now. Okay, data going from the device to the cloud. So you would need to have a big infrastructure in place, a lot of things in place, a lot of platforms in place. Uh, you will have to pay people to manage those processes, but you won't see that in edge computing. Okay, improve customer service. The consumers, customers get their feedback in much less time. Okay, with much more agility. And these devices come with extra layer of security. Although security is a problem, I will not deny that security is always an ever going on problem here. Okay, but you have an extra layer of security here, and it's scalable and versatile. That means its capacity of handling data, okay, is much higher than any other devices. So the adoption rate now is about 10%. So you'll have many not many companies adopting this because it's very new. Okay, but by 2025, as as the benefits of this technology grows, as people get awareness of it, it should be growing to about 75%. 75% of the companies will be adopting this technology all across, from civil to electronics to all faculties. Okay. Distributed cloud. Okay, this also is a very big thing. Okay. Distributed cloud is basically you have, let's say you are tied up with a cloud provider like Azure or Google Cloud or something. And most of the companies are tied up with this infrastructure as a service kind of technology. Okay, so these big companies work under this Azure, Google Cloud. Okay, what else? IBM. They are big major cloud vendors. Now, cloud is basically internet, which is selling space, selling space for application development, for hosting, okay, and managing software development. Okay, so usually the convention of these cloud companies is that they provide the software and not the hardware, right? But in distributed computing, you would have, this is also related to edge computing. They offer something called fog devices. So fog devices are that the providers of distributed cloud, they are providing you with cloud space as well as devices, as well as the software inbuilt. So they're providing hardware as well as software. Okay, and these are used much in industrial Internet of Things in industry. Those companies deal with industrial Internet of Things. These kinds of technologies are much in demand. Okay? For example, they would hand out devices that have sensors inside it, and these sensors will detect faults in production processes, preventive and predictive maintenance, predictive and preventive maintenance in the assembly lines. So in manufacturing, okay, so this is a very big thing happening. So what is the expected growth rate here? 35% to 2025, and huge demand for cloud platform engineers, people who can connect these devices to the cloud. The main driver for this industry is IoT, Internet of Things. Okay, I think this presentation, Internet of Things, is going to happen tomorrow. Okay, I think it's happening. Is it true? Anybody has that data on them? Okay, let's go on. So the key skills required here are C, C++, Ruby, Perl, Python, machine learning, Linux, DevOps, and security certification. Okay, security, some certification in security. Major hires Cisco, AT&T, Vodafone, Airtel, Faststream, ABB, and Amazon. Okay, let's move on to the next technology. It's cybersecurity plus artificial intelligence. Okay. So basically, cybersecurity cannot handle unstructured data. Unstructured data, major viruses and threats that are coming over the network. If it is not structured, it cannot detect it. All right. So what does artificial intelligence do? Artificial intelligence can detect those even minor deviations in the data flow patterns. Okay, let's say there's a Trojan or a virus that is on the network. A typical authentication tool cannot detect that if it's unstructured. Okay? But using cyber security with artificial intelligence, those even minor deviations from the normal network flow can be detected. We're seeing a growth rate of 30% over here, okay, till 2025, right? And what this means that there's a huge job opportunity here. Because these industries are growing very fast, there's a huge space for research and job opportunities. You just have to get the right skills at the right time. And the time has already arrived. It's a matter of time before people will adopt those skills and get into these fields. Big shortage in this space, 200,000 vacancies in this space alone in the US. There are cybersecurity professionals, but cybersecurity coupled with artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies, huge space, a huge gap. Okay, so what are the skills required here? 2 years of machine learning application development. Rust is a programming language, very popular programming language as of now. Go is another very popular programming language. C++, Python. Someone who knows how to build intelligent APIs. Main hires, Google, Facebook, all the social media companies. Everybody requires this. You can have bugs and threats and trojans and viruses entering anybody's site, okay? And you have problems. Technical issue here. All right. The next technology is digital twins. What are digital twins basically? Digital twins are technologies that are making physical assets in 3D. So you would have, for example, a mobile device, okay, and then you would have a 3D image of the technology, all right, or you have a turbine. How that connects to the cockpit of an airplane, okay, you would have a 3D image along with the physical asset. And you can see how it would communicate and simulate the processes in many conditions and circumstances. So this is basically a 3D model of a physical asset used in simulation and testing environments. Okay. So this 3D modeling has been in place for a long time, all right? But 3D modeling of a physical asset, a complete same, how would I say, a replica of that model along with its inherent technologies, and they both communicate with each other. Okay? In a simulated environment, that has not happened. So that industry has been since, what, 2 years it has come in, okay? And still the growth rate is happening here. Main drivers, Internet of Things, industrial IoT, connected devices. Growth rate of 25%, compound annual growth rate. Key skills, Python, Scala, Oracle, right? So you can see that. And the main hires in this technology. Artificial intelligence. What are the trends in artificial intelligence? Computer vision. Okay. Computer vision, uh, facial recognition, let's say for attendance, who is coming to your classes or not coming to your classes, what time they're arriving. Instead of biometric systems, you have computer vision in place. So you have a scanner, okay? You don't have to go through a scanner. The computer vision device will look for those people, those who are present and not present through their scanning images, okay? So this is a very big thing that's happening, computer vision. Geospatial technology. Okay, where are the threats of coronavirus the highest? Okay, how do you identify that? And what is the growth in that? Where is it? How can someone correlated growth with a country-specific corona? How do you know that is going to end by November or by December? People are saying in India the peak rates of corona is going to be somewhere in October or November. Okay? So how do someone identify these technologies? How do people identify those numbers? So they use something called geospatial technology, and that has to do a lot of artificial intelligence. Explainable AI. Explainable AI, that is explainable artificial intelligence, has to do with models that can explain the numbers. Okay, so you have an artificial intelligence tool, okay, a model, and that is explaining, and this explaining bit is very necessary today, because most of people in the industries, they don't understand what artificial intelligence can do and what are those numbers that are being churning out from those models. Okay, so explainable AI with the means of graphs and advanced graphing methods, it can explain what those numbers mean and the impact of those numbers. Democratic AI. Democratic AI is basically AI and artificial intelligence for everyone. All right. So what that means is basically that you have modules developed by programmers that can be adopted. Those modules are available on the cloud. Those modules can be combined to make an application by anybody. Okay? That is what is meant by AI for everyone. Okay? So this is a major trend. Companies like H2O and iTrax, they are developing artificial intelligence so easy to use and understand. Okay, you don't have to be a software programmer. Okay, person and a person sitting a clerk in the office or a housewife can develop artificial intelligence tools for any of the needs. It's going to be that easy. Okay, advanced NLP, advanced natural language processing. Okay, advanced natural language processing. Natural that many, you see, models, they understand 1 2 3 4 5 6 and some Boolean text, if then and whatever. All right, but they don't understand handwritings. They don't understand scribblings. They don't understand fuzzy drawings. Okay, so that's where you have a natural language processing come in place and identify those images, those voices, those texts, jumbled texts, and make sense out of them. Okay, a big thing in social media. A lot of money is being poured into this, so they understand people's sentiments and attitudes and what we call perceptions. Data storytelling. Someone who can translate the numbers that is coming out of a specific model or an exercise in artificial intelligence. Okay, 70% of the people in industry, they don't understand. Oh, I'm talking about management. What those numbers mean. So this is an area where people can get skills in storytelling and explain those numbers. Okay. The trend is moving away from data science to a data engineer. Okay, so data science are people who have specific knowledge of, let's say, machine learning, artificial intelligence, fuzzy logic, and they are able to write algorithms or or do some modeling, get some numbers and output out. Okay? They don't have much experience in computer architecture, software engineering, and architecture. The trend right now is moving from a data scientist to a data engineer. Okay, so engineers coming out of engineering schools are well placed right now to get into machine learning and artificial intelligence technologies. Anonymous databases. What is anonymous database? A database is basically that data is stored inside it, tabulated, okay? And then there's some manual work that goes on for patching, for recovery, for backups, for updates, okay, for the specific user, okay? And people who handle this are called database administrators or EBA, okay? So what is an anonymous database? An anonymous database basically is a data in the cloud, okay? Uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to automate tuning, security, backups, updates, recovery, and self-repair. Self-repair. Okay. So it eliminates a big need for database administrators, DBA. Unless these DBAs move upwards, particularly to understand what is machine learning and artificial intelligence, they will have lack of skills in the new marketplace. Okay? Because it involves minimal human intervention. All right, and this is a very new thing. It was released last year, 2019. All right, that was announced 2019, and this year it's in production. Okay? So the major player here is Oracle. They have seen sales grow by 200% in this space, not overall databases, but in anonymous databases. Right? Key skills: machine learning, alternate strong database architecture, data warehousing skills, and knowledge of infrastructure platforms like Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure. Okay, all right. The major hires are Oracle and Oracle India. Very new. Technology is very new. Okay. It is yet to shape up, but there's a huge. It is solving a big need for the industries, right? Quantum computing. Yeah, quantum computing has to deal with, okay, how should I say? Quantum computing, it deals with quantum mechanics from physics. This is quantum theory for calculations. The objective of quantum computing is to make very fast computers, very fast computers. Okay? They use a process called tunneling that identifies the atomic and subatomic state behaviors of atoms, and they do the calculations. Okay? It does not use one and zeros like in classical computers. Okay? They use the encoding in bits, but these use the encoding in atomic and subatomic state behaviors of the underlying atoms. All right. So Google developed a computer. It's a very new thing. A lot of it's right now in the research stage. Okay, but some of the big companies have developed computers, all right, that are 3 times faster than Summit. Summit is the world's fastest computer. Okay? Google has developed a quantum computer that is 3 million times faster than Summit. Right? The objective is, well, it costs a lot, $15 million. All right, so it's not going to be everybody's desk. all right, or an office. But the object is to make a economically feasible computer that uses quantum theory for computing. Best used for very hard programming for in mathematics, optimization problems, something called what we call integer factorization and mixed interior programming. Okay, so what is this integer factorization and mixed interior programming? Okay, let's say you have flight schedules. Okay, what is the cheapest way to schedule a flight? Okay, so an airport had hundreds and thousands of flights coming in and out every day. Airlines have to make decisions on buying airplanes or not to buy airplanes and to schedule their flights. All right, all right. So what is the shortest and the most economic way to use an airline? Okay, so these are very hard mathematical problems, right? So and they are they come under the realm of integer factorization and mixed integer programming. Okay, where you cannot have 10.6 as an answer. It has to be a whole number, right? So what are the projects that are happening here? Microsoft Q Sharp, Google AI, and IBM Q. Okay. Yeah, so I guess that's about it for my presentation.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Any questions, audience?
One of my objectives here, one of my objectives here was to state these technologies and pass it on to your students or develop certifications within your college or uh, sort of integrate your courses with these technologies. So, for example, you can see a common underline here is that artificial and machine learning is an industry that is going to grow, and it has many overpinnings over it because you will see machine learning and artificial intelligence in hyper automation. You will see it in edge computing. You will see it in digital twins. You will see it in cybersecurity. You will see it across everywhere. Okay? And that will impact all the faculties of engineering, civil, mechanical, electronics, electrical, computer science, industrial, production. All these kinds of faculties will be impacted by these industries. And the underlying technology behind in advancing these areas is artificial intelligence, anonymous databases. Okay? So if one of my objectives was to present this, that people or the institutions adopt some of these courses into their curriculums to make the students more market ready and more market stable when they come out.
Sir, Samir Saab.
Yeah.
There is one question from one audience. He is asking, can you bit elaborate on geo computing you mentioned? Geo computing related to VR and AR.
I didn't.
Go computing.
I didn't
Go
hear
computing.
That.
Can you bit elaborate on Go computing you mentioned related to VR and AR?
Okay.
He is asking what is Go computing?
Go programming language.
Go computing.
It is a language. It is not Go computing. It's a language. Okay. It's much like I had another slide, but I didn't introduce that slide. This was sort of a basic overview of the technologies. Okay, so Go programming is basically an open source technology.
Okay.
It is open source language that is easy and simple and reliable to build applications. Okay? It is not a substitute. It is not a substitute, but it has faster run times than many other languages.
Okay.
If in detail, if somebody wants examples, we can share some codes offline and I can explain to them how this language works. So if someone can call me, or make a slide, I can make a slide for them.
Okay. Hello, audience. Any more questions? Shall we conclude, Samir sir?
Yeah, that's fine. I hope it was
Okay.
beneficial.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very
Okay.
much for the time.
Very. Okay. Say Samir sir started with hyper automation, edge computing, cloud, security plus artificial intelligence. Then he talked about demand for that particular technology, digital twins, trends in AI, quantum computing, anonymous database. One advantage of each and every technique, each and every technology, whatever say Cesar has talked about, he has clearly mentioned what the technology is all about. Then what is its growth rate? Then what key skills are required in each technology? Then who are the key hirers? These all things were very clearly explained. Really, it was a very nice presentation from Samir sir. Thank you very much, sir, from the
Thank you
on
very much.
behalf
Thank you.
of Gausia College of Engineering and Principal and Department of Electrical Engineering HOD. We are very happy to listen to you. So it was very nice presentation. Thank you, and thank you all participants.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the.
Yeah, thank you. Tomorrow we'll have a session at 10:30. Okay, thank you, one and all.
Thank you very much.